Hello everybody and welcome back to the Lokalfeed show. My name is Azura and our guest today is Stephanie Dickson. She is founder of the Wedge Asia and Green is the New Black, one of Singapore's leading conscious community. Not only that, she's also a 2-time TEDx speaker. Join us as she shares with us a snippet of her journey and how everyone can be a part of a community to bring people together, to connect, find inspiration, gain knowledge, and be able to take action to create a better life, a better self. On this episode, we talk about, is being green a new trend or the next sexy thing? Learning your value, which means like a partnership for free, is it worth it? What is conscious living to her? You know, are you on an autopilot mode just going through the motions? Before we get to it, if you want to support us, there are a few ways you can do so. Share an episode with your friends. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Right now, we are also on Spotify and iTunes. You can subscribe to those. And last but not least, let me take this chance to thank those who's been tuning in and listening to our previous episode. We truly appreciate you. Truly. Thank you. So, without further ado, remember, be bold and stay inspired. Here is Stephanie Dickson.
My name is Stephanie Dickson and I am the founder of Green is the New Black. Most people normally start by asking about my accent because they find it very difficult to place where I'm from. But I'm Australian born and I'm Scottish parents. But I grew up in Asia, so I'm a third culture kid. So I've had, I think, over 23 residential addresses and I am 30 this year. So I've moved around a lot.
Yeah, you
So Green is New Black is basically a lifestyle media platform where we connect conscious consumers who want to be more conscious with brands who are being more responsible. And we do that through a series of events, including our conscious festivals, which we now have host in Singapore and Hong Kong. Our last event in Hong Kong had around 4,500 people, which was amazing.
Wow, that is amazing.
Our biggest event so far, and we have our next festival coming up in Singapore. And we do a lot of guides and content, and really our whole mission is to make sustainability mainstream and make it sexy. And empower people who want to do better and do that by taking little green steps every day.
So before Green is the New Black, what did you do before? I mean, there must be something that kind of like inspired you to take this on.
I actually used to work in fashion. So as a little girl, I always wanted to be a fashion designer. But then when I tried to try sewing, I was so impatient and like not creative at the time. And I was like, this is never going to work. I don't have the patience for this. So in the end, no, I didn't do that. But then I discovered that I really loved doing events at quite a young age as well. So I was kind of a sports captain. Not because I was sporty, but because I loved planning all the events and the carnivals and stuff that you got to do as a sports captain. And then at uni, I also loved doing events, and then I basically decided I wanted to try and work in fashion events. So when I came back to Singapore, my family doctor, basically I told her that's what I wanted to do, and she connected me to her best friend who was the founder of Men's Fashion Week. It was like my ideal job. It was like my dream job. So I worked in fashion for around 4 years, planning fashion festivals around Asia, including Bangkok, Vietnam, Singapore. But then after 4 years, I started to be on autopilot. I mean, working in fashion and in events, it was kind of like Devil Wears Prada. It was very crazy. And so, I kind of just got disillusioned with it all. And then I started opening my eyes more, and I realized that actually fashion is a really polluting industry, one of the top 3 in the world. It's also a very socially corrupt industry. And I felt really blindsided, actually. I felt like I had no idea, and I'd been working in this industry, and all of a sudden I was seeing things that I didn't even know existed, or that were behind that glossy curtain that that veil that fashion kind of alludes. So it kind of led me down a very deep rabbit hole, and I couldn't continue doing what I was doing, knowing what I discovered. So I quit and decided, I just kind of one day was like, I want to create a space, a welcoming space for people who are new to sustainability like I am. Because at the time I kind of felt like a lot of the events were very businessy or preachy or kind of too business focused as well. And so I really wanted to create a space for people like me that were like, hey, I'm new to sustainability. I don't really know what I'm doing. What should I do? Who should I support? How can I connect with like-minded people? And that's really how my journey started.
Okay, so I'm going to go back a bit because you mentioned that you were in the fashion industry, right? So through that 4 years of experience, in that sense, it kind of opened your eyes where fashion is, like you mentioned, one of the how do I say this? Most polluting industry and stuff like that. So is there a way that we can, explore that in that sense to kind of like open our eyes? Because I mean, if you didn't go into that, right, you wouldn't know that the fashion industry is kind of like, the most polluting, right? So is that the kind of like a wake up call in a sense, or just that it's really innate in you that you kind of like felt this, you felt kind of bad that, the things that you're kind of like behind the scenes or is polluting the earth and stuff like that. So how do you feel about?
Yeah, so it wasn't because I worked in the industry that I saw it, actually, because I was on the event side, but it was because I started discovering documentaries and reading stuff online. And that kind of led me to the rabbit hole and the spiral down. But I watched The True Cost, and that was like a really big like milestone when I decided, okay, I can't keep doing this, because that is a great documentary that really pulls back that curtain that I was talking about. And so from that, and then doing other research and kind of getting lost in that research side, was when I really discovered actually what was going on. Because working in the industry, I was also even oblivious to it, because I wasn't in the supply chain, I wasn't going to factories, I wasn't a designer, I was actually just planning fashion festivals. So that's kind of where that trajectory led me. And yeah, it was because of that I realized, okay, no, I can't do this anymore. But I think a lot of it also stems from, so my mom is kind of like a holistic energy practitioner, and like a coach, and she's done all these crazy trainings, and she's like an amazing woman, also lifelong vegetarian. So I think on the subliminal side, I think my mom had a lot of influence with me, wanting to get into sustainability and wanting to get more into the work that I'm doing. And it was just, there was a few trigger points, and then that led me to do what I'm doing. So, yeah. Okay,
that's interesting. You mentioned conscious living, right? So what is conscious living? I mean, to the people out there, because conscious can be a lot of things, right? So what is the definition of conscious living?
Yeah, so I define conscious living as really the understanding that our decisions not only impact us, but they impact our surroundings and the environment as well. So breaking it down even further, really easily, for me, it's like living wide awake. So actually understanding, when we do something, there's a butterfly effect, there's a ripple effect, and being aware and conscious and awake to what that impact is. And that's really what, my definition is, that just that deeper understanding and living more awake.
Okay, but I mean, so coming back in Singapore, right, living more awake, I mean, living in a city, we're always in a rush, right? We're always trying to get to point A, point B, we need to get things done, blah, blah, blah. So how can we, have a conscious, how can we be a conscious being in that sense? So is it for us to be self-aware of the surrounding or the things that we adapt to, or how do you
Such a big question, and I'm still figuring a lot of it out, but I think for me it's kind of taking those moments to think about what our actions, what the effect is going to be, the continual effect is going to happen. So for example, when we buy certain food, how does it make us feel? What's the impact on the planet that's having? What's the impact on the people along the supply chain? It's just having a little bit of understanding of questioning, I think, is a big thing, of like understanding the provenance of the products that we're purchasing, where are they coming from, who was affected along the way, but also thinking about the afterlife of products as well. So this is coming more from the work that we're doing, obviously, is thinking about that life cycle. But as individuals, I think it's also, yes, being more present, being more aware, not being zombies, not going through life on autopilot the way I ended up being at the end of my fashion career. I just felt like I was on that autopilot, on that rat race. And I still am sometimes. It's very easy to fall back in those old habits and those old patterns, but it's about having the awareness to be able to pull yourself out of it and be like, okay, no, I want to be more present. I want to actually appreciate what's happening in my life. I want to understand what's going on around me. That's a deeper, more philosophical level. But I think when it comes to the conscious living in a sustainability context, it's also about thinking about, okay, when I buy this product, what does that really mean? What's the true cost of this product and my purchasing, but also what's the true cost of me spending time, because we really do vote with our time and our wallets.
Yes,
so the videos we're watching, the stuff that we're consuming online, we have a choice in that. We have a choice in everything that we do. So it's making better choices that are better for yourself, but also better for, you know, your environment, for the people that you're around as well, because you do have an effect on your circle. You have a sphere of influence. So it's starting to look at all those different levels, but as you said, it is a really big word, and it really is, it's a whole nother way to live.
The process, because it's not easy for everyone to take a step back, to really think about, I mean, not everybody will have that that aha moment, that what's going on, you know what I mean, right? So what is your process? What was your thought process? Is it like I mentioned before, is it an individual, you know, individual character of a person, or is it the surrounding? Because a lot of conversations that I have, sometimes people say it's just one person, I won't make a difference, right? Have you had a conversation with someone where you say it's just one, I mean, I won't make a difference, you know? So
it's all the time. But if 1 billion people made a change, imagine the knock-on effect of that. So I think I'm just not one person thing, I get it all the time. And I say to that actually every little bit counts. And as a collective, that's when we're going to actually see massive change happening. And all of our individual efforts, when they come together, are going to make huge change. And so for us, with our work at Green is the New Black, our big focus is little green steps. So it's empowering people to realize that actually it's okay, you can take little steps, one at a time, go at your own pace, but realize that you're continually moving forward and you're being more conscious, you're being more sustainable. And that is a very important thing, because I think people do get very overwhelmed. People also, you know, we were just talking about this before, they want to maintain their convenience, they want to maintain their modern lifestyles, their easy lifestyles. So if it's not easy and convenient, it becomes a struggle, and therefore it's easier for them to fall out of those patterns.
That's right.
But what we have to do is continually to empower and say, no, take little steps. It is easy. You just go one step at a time, and that's okay. And the other thing is, you know, when we're looking at sustainability, I think it really needs to be cool. It needs to be fun. It needs to be trendy, because if something becomes trendy, then it becomes something mainstream that everyone wants to do or starts doing. And I think that's the really important piece that we have to focus on here, which is what we try to do with everything that we're doing, is make it sexy. Right? Because that's how we can get people to care more, are the ones that don't care. Because a lot of people are having awakenings on plastic. You know, there's big things about plastic straws, plastic getting into our oceans, into our food, onto our plates, blah, 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 right? It's a massive thing. So there's a lot of people that are awakening because of that. And there is so many people, more people joining the movement on their own accord. But for those that aren't quite there, and they don't really care about the plastic issue, or they have the I'm just the one person, what can I do mentality, for those people we have to make it cool, and we have to make it more appealing, and we have to make it the trendy in thing, because then they will do it because everyone else is doing it.
Okay. So I've got a question about that. So you see, the thing about trend, right? So do they know how do I say this? Do they know why they're doing it? Because trends, you know, trends die off sometimes, right?
Sure.
So so do you think that it's important? Yes, go with the trend, but also really tell the story of it, in the sense that why is it such and stuff? Because trend 100%. Dies all the time, and sometimes people just go into it without knowing what it actually is. So what do you think about that?
So I think either way, the more trendy it is, the more mass it is. And for me, that's a win anyway, because then more people are doing it, whether they understand it or not. And I guess the hope would be that they would learn and understand more as they're in it, you know, like, because a lot of the time we don't really know what we're doing until we're in it, and then we learn as we go. So I think that would be a good catalyst regardless for people to learn more. And sure, some people won't get it, they'll do it because it's cool, and then they'll drop off, maybe, but maybe not. You know, I think sustainability is here to stay. I think it's going to continue to evolve, and it's only going to get more and more prominent in everyone's life. So I don't really see this as a trend that's going to drop off. But yeah, I think it's people will learn as they go.
Conversations, right? How important are having conversations, like open conversations? Like you host like events and stuff like that, right? How important is that?
Well, I think conversations are critical, because when you have a conversation with someone, you're having a deeper interaction, whether that's online or ideally in person as well, through events, right? That's what you said. So when you have a conversation, you're actually connecting with another human being. You're connecting on a deeper level. Hopefully you can make them feel something. And if they feel something and they feel something positive, or maybe they feel something, you trigger that fire, that passion in them, they're going to remember that feeling, and that's going to drive them to take an action. So I think conversations are a catalyst for more action taking and more awareness being raised, which I think is a massive thing that we're still lacking in Asia. We have a real lack of awareness on a lot of these issues and not enough education. So the more conversations we can have, the more we can continue that. Even just, like with friends, and just starting to share more about your life, or if you skip meat a day, a week, all of a sudden, and then you can share that by having a conversation with a friend as to why you're doing that. Yes, it's for your health, but also you're reducing your impact on the planet. That can lead to a whole very interesting spiral of conversations. So I think conversations are the catalyst, and we need to be having more of them. So it's very encouraging to see that there's more and more organizations and events around these topics to empower people and to create those safe spaces that people can, engage in that kind of dialogue.
Okay, so there's a lot of, people do say that Asians are more conservative. Do we do we ask questions? Are we open to have conversations? That's the thing. As in, what do you think? Through Green is the New Black, Asians being a bit more conservative than,
I think they're conservative, but I think everyone, there's a lot of opinions as well still underneath all that conservativeness.
But do they voice it out, or do they ask the questions, or are they curious about it in a sense?
So I think that the millennials and the younger generation Singaporeans are super vocal, and it's amazing. They raise their hands all the time. They're not scared. I think they've been brought up in a different generation with different access to information and access to a global conversation almost. So I think the younger generations are very open to that, and I also find that now as people, when they discover their passions, whether it's sustainability, whether it's something else they're passionate about, they're very vocal. And I see more and more grassroots organization and people galvanizing to support each other and to share some of these messages. So I think, yes, there's still quite a lot of, conservative nature, but at the same time, I also see a huge opening and a lot more dialogue being had.
That's beautiful to see. Because it is really true, because sometimes having real conversations is very important, like what we're doing in that sense, because you wouldn't know what the story behind a lot of things.
Exactly.
Okay. Right now you're an entrepreneur, right? You how long have you had? So before Green is the New Black, was there anything else? The Wedge?
So the Wedge I started before Green is New Black, and that was kind of like an event series and basically my side hustle. Because I started about 3.5 years ago now. So at the time I couldn't do what I wanted to do full time, because there just wasn't the space. I didn't have the skill set and the knowledge either. And so I started the Wedge as a monthly series of events to kind of have some of these dialogues I wanted to have and conversations and empowering events. And from that grew Green is New Black. And while we were building Green is New Black out, we did a lot of things on the side. So I did social media marketing consulting, I did events for other people, I did some hosting stuff. And then eventually we got to the point where there was a tipping point, and I could then say, great, now we are at a point where we can work full-time on Green is New Black. So that was a very exciting point, but there was a lot of side hustle. I also lectured. I did fashion and marketing lecturing at one point. It was very stressful, but amazing.
I can imagine. So now you're an entrepreneur. How do you balance it? As in, because right now there's no, I don't know whether there's a steady stream of income and stuff like that. So how do you, for entrepreneurs out there who wants to know how do you get started? How do you even get up in the morning to do the things that you do when you have bad days and stuff like that? So how do you get through that?
Well, I'm different. And there's a lot of us out there, but I'm like an A-type personality. So when I am having a bad day, then I can't stay in bed. I need to get up and start, and I'm stressed and whatever is happening, and I still have days like that. But I think the passion and the not wanting to fail, I think it's a massive driver. And also, when you love what you do, you will get out of bed in the morning and you will continue to move forward. And I think I was very lucky in the beginning of my journey that I kind of had two big sort of aha moments on the entrepreneur career side. And both of them were quotes from a lady called Marie Forleo, who I love. And one of them was that clarity comes from engagement, not thought.
Okay.
So for me, that basically, because I was very in my head, I'm one of these people that overthink and overanalyze everything. And so that made me realize that actually I'm not going to get clarity from overthinking. But if I engage, right, which for me is action, if I continue to take action forward, I'll get clearer.
Okay.
And I always try to come back to that because you get so lost in it. But for me, the best piece of advice I can give is just wake up every day and just keep taking steps forward. And actually, even though you're stressed and whatever, if you keep moving, you do that one little task and you can do the next one, and that keeps you going. When you have those very overwhelming, stressful moments. It's just keep taking little steps and moving forward.
Okay.
And the other one that she says is that a made up word, but everything is figure-outable.
Okay.
And I forget all the time, but when I can remember that actually, no, there is a solution to this. And in the end, when stuff goes bad and you look back, the lessons you learn from that, and the adversity that you've managed to come over, and the struggle you had to go through, actually it's all worth it. And then you get to a point that you wouldn't have got to if those things hadn't happened. So everything, there's always a solution for anything that could happen. So those are two things that I really cling on to still.
Still till today.
I mean, there's ups and downs. That's entrepreneur life. It is a roller coaster. And if you're not willing to sign up for that, then just you can make change in corporate companies too. Okay.
Tell us a bit more. What do you mean by that? Can you make change in corporate companies?
So if you're in a corporate company, I'm going to talk about sustainability because that's what I know. But if you're in a corporate company, nowadays companies want to empower employees. They want to retain their employees. So if you can find the right support internally, you have the resources, you have your salary, and you can make huge change within a company, because a lot of companies now want to do more in sustainability or diversity or empowerment for different groups within companies. So if one of those things is your passion, and you want to support local entrepreneurs, right? But you can bring that into your corporate setting. And there's a lot, it's called entrepreneurship. So there's actually a term for this now. But it's having an entrepreneur mindset within a corporate structure. And I think if you aren't willing to quit your job and you don't want to, but you want to embody or kind of have that more purpose driven, then you can find something you're passionate about and figure out a way to make it align with your company goals, and then do a project you want to do with all the resources that a corporate company gives you.
Yeah, that's true. But that's really wise words, but sometimes people do get stuck in the sense that, so where do I start, as in who do I approach and stuff. So these are the things that they got to do their research on. If there will be roadblocks, because companies, they do have like red tape and stuff like that, right?
Sure.
But we just gotta, your advice would be just to press on and just do it.
Entrepreneurs get roadblocks too. I face red tape all the time. It's the same shit.
Yeah, that's right.
So whether you're facing the blocks from your corporate company, you got to get more creative to make it aligned with them. But it's the same as sales, really. Like, it's the same as anything you really want. There's always a way to get it working so that everyone's happy in that situation. So it's hard, but again, so is being an entrepreneur, so is pushing for change in certain situations, but that struggle is part of the happiness that you're going to get afterwards.
Yep. That's true. That's really true. I mean, through this conversation, right, I'm just very curious about your creative process, in that sense that how do you get through, I mean, because you really kind of have to think about content all the time, right? You've got to think about ideas and stuff. What's your creative process, if you
So I guess I give myself the luxury, and I guess I'm lucky that I have it, to not really have to work in deadlines. Of course I have deadlines and I have things that need to happen in certain times, but I learned that if I try to sit at my laptop and go, I got to be creative right now, I'm going to come up with this cool video script, or like I want to write this article and this guide, it never happens that way. So I give myself the space to like allow the ideas to come in, and then they always come in at the perfect time. So I just always remind myself that I get stuff done at the perfect time. It's one of my little mantras that I have going. So because when you try to force something out, it doesn't happen. So my creative process is I have stuff running on the side, and I kind of come up with ideas as I go, and then I add to it, and then I get a point where I get a download, or I'm like, okay, I'm ready to write this now, and then I get that creative process going. So my process is a bit messier. It's more, when I have the time to kind of put stuff aside, and then I wait for the creative inspiration, and it typically comes when I have a bit more white space. And so, of course I have deadlines and I have to come up with stuff, but I know that if I don't force it, it'll come, and then I'll find the time that I can just do it there and then I just drop everything and I focus on that. So it's a bit messy, but it's kind of, I also work very closely with my co-founder Paula. So typically we have a brief or we have an idea that we want to do, and then she'll come up with like her creative thing, and I'll kind of have a bit of a brainstorm, and then she'll come up with something really good, and then I'll run with that creative thing, and I'll be able to structure it, and then I'll, so we kind of ping pong a little bit together, which I think is really beautiful. And so we keep building on each other's idea, and then we get to something really amazing. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, because again, I think everyone works at a different way, right? Some people are a bit messy, but some people are a bit organized and stuff. But there's actually quite, it's true. So mine is like, it's kind of like one of those desks where it's like organized chaos, because I'm a very anal organized person, but my creative process is a bit more chaotic. So I would say, organized chaos is my process.
Organized chaos is new. Okay, I'll figure it out. Okay, what is next for you?
Great question. So at the moment we're fundraising, which is very exciting, but I mean, really we want to be the #1 place in Asia for people to come to learn about conscious living and sustainability. So we're in the process of building that regional community, which we're really excited about. And we hope to be able to have our festival, our conscious festival, in multiple cities around Asia. And really, to be able to connect the community. We're quite disjointed, but as flights are cheaper and connectivity and these kind of conversations are being had more frequently across border, that presents a really exciting and unique opportunity for us to be able to build that faster and then really connect people. Like, we love introducing and connecting brands to people, and then brands to brands and people to people. So as long as we can keep doing that on a larger regional scale, that's what we really want to do.
Okay, that's going to be a big challenge for you, but I think it'll be quite interesting for you and your team, right?
We're excited, and it's good. I mean, we already went to Hong Kong this year, so that was the first next market, and now we're looking at where we're going next.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, I wanted, because you mentioned fundraising, right? Because when people want to go into a business, right, they always worry about money, right? I mean, we have to kind of like make ends meet and stuff like that. Fundraising, how important is fundraising? Or the question should be, when you start something, should you already have the cash? Or go as you,
So I think that, I mean, it depends on the industry, right? I mean, if you're a tech company and you have to build the technology, you have to have the money to do that. So you have to fundraise potentially. But I think for us and for me, I had some money saved up, obviously, so that I could initially start, and I could give myself 1 to 2 months to really figure out how to bring in some money. It can't just happen overnight. But I think it really depends on the person. So I was fine to do the side hustle because I wanted to build, and obviously my ideas have massively shifted in the last 3.5 years. But now we're at a point where we have stable income coming in. We are self-sustained, but because of our growth plans and our want to really connect a regional community, we need to bring in extra capital so that we can fast track that growth. So that makes sense for us to do at this stage in our growth. But I think in the beginning, you need to validate your ideas. You need to make sure this is even the life you want. So
that's the important question, right?
It is. It's a big one. And so for me, I think the side hustle is a very great way to do it. To then get to a tipping point where you're like, great, now we're making enough money, I can do this full time, like we did. I mean, that was my story and the way that we did it, and I think it was a good way to do it. So slower growth, sure. But I think more sustained growth.
Okay. I mean, there's a few questions that people do ask. Is it worth it if we do things for free? Let's say if we make a video just for us to kind of like advertise ourselves in that sense, right? Because sometimes we have to do things for free in order to put ourselves out there, and it says our capability and our. Do you think that's good?
We still do stuff for free. Absolutely. I mean, it depends on the partnership, and it depends on the value, and there's stuff that you want to do just because you want to support someone, right? And because you want to share their story. So there's stuff that we do like that, and then there's other stuff because we see a strategic benefit. We see that they're going to be long-term partners, but they can't afford to pay us right now. So, well, sure, okay, cover our cost, right? So I think that's another easy way to do it. Is like, this is the cost of us to produce X, Y, Z for you. So cover that. We won't give you the team cost. We will give our time for free. But you need to cover the costs that we're going to incur. So that's another way that we do it quite often. But then it's also about learning your value. Like, I massively undervalued us for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's about confidence and all that kind of stuff that goes along with it. But now I think we're getting more confident and really knowing what our value is, and then you kind of decide based on certain criteria you set out. So for us, there's some that we do for free because we want to support, others that we do as a partnership, and others that we say, no, this is our value if you want to work with us for certain things, right? But I think further to that, it's about listening to your gut. If you feel like someone's taking the piss, and if you feel like someone's taking the piss, or you feel like you're being taken advantage of, or you really don't feel right about it, then don't do it. And yes, you may need the money, but and I've certainly done projects like that and then regretted it afterwards. So if it doesn't feel good, don't do it, and just trust that the right projects will come to you when you put the right energy out there. So I'm a big believer in that.
Yes, that's nice. I mean, that's really true. I mean, through experience, you can actually capture that you know that, okay, this is like you mentioned, right? This is my value, and it doesn't matter. And the good, and like you mentioned, the good energy, good things will come. Yeah. You just gotta, believe in it. Okay, that's nice. Okay, we're gonna go through some fun question. Some people think that it is stressful, but are you doing okay?
I'm great. Go for it. Shoot.
Okay. I think I've asked this earlier on. I asked you what is your why, right? What is your drive that you wake up in the morning, right? I mean, do you want to give it a go? What is your why?
Sure. My why is twofold. One, I really think that everyone can do sustainability and that we can all make an impact. So our whole green steps and really, making sustainability sexy is a big driver. I think that it is. I think it's so cool, and I love the fact that we get to do cool events and meet cool people. So I love that part of my job. But on a personal level, I do it because I'm also learning, and this is my own journey and growth. And by doing this, I'm becoming more awake. I'm becoming more conscious. I'm learning how to be a better person and how to deal with different things, and that keeps me going. So there's a selfish part of it for sure.
But it's a bigger picture. I mean, you see the bigger picture. You see the bigger dream of what you want the company and you yourself to grow into. Exactly. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, what's something most people don't know about you that you're really proud of?
Oh, wow. That's a really tough question. What do most people not know about me that I'm really proud of? I was an au pair in Italy. Okay, so let me start again. I left home at 17, and I went to live in Italy for a year without speaking a word of Italian. And I lived within a family that didn't speak English. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but I absolutely loved it. And I was very proud because I grew up a lot that year. And really challenged myself. And then I moved to Milan and I stayed with a family that did speak English and learned Italian. But that was a big thing to do at 17, move the other side of the world away from my family.
I'm curious now. So what happened? Why did you decide to move away from your family at 17?
I finished high school, and it's such a silly reason, but it's so true. I used to party a lot here, and in Australia, you can't drink until you're 18. So that was actually a big deciding factor for 17-year-old Steph. She didn't want to not drink and party. But also, my mom was an au pair, actually. So when she was 16, she moved to France, Paris, and she was a live-in nanny, and she always talked about it fondly. And I just had this thing about Italy. You just get these weird obsessions. You don't know why. I was like, I have to go to Italy. I just know I have to go. And so my mom was like, yeah, if you want to go, I'll pay for your ticket and you get yourself a job when you're over there. So I was like, okay, I'll be a live-in nanny. And we just did that. And she just paid for my flight tickets. And, when I ran out of money here and there, I was lucky that she supported me a bit. But yeah, I just did it because I felt like, why not? And I had a year to kill because I graduated at 17, not 18, like most people. So
wow, I didn't know that. That's quite cool. That's quite cool. So sorry, I'm curious a bit more. So you're there for how long were you there for?
So 9 months in total. I was in Rome for 6 months, and then I came back here to Singapore. Had my 18th birthday with my family, and then I went to Milan for 3.5 months.
Wow. Okay. Adventurous at a very young age.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we moved around a lot when I was a kid, as I said. So the longest I've ever now been in one place is this time around in Singapore, which is crazy to me. So I've been here now this time around for 7 years. Before that was 4, and that only happened twice. And before that was every 2 years. And even shorter sometimes. So I was kind of used to that, transient lifestyle.
So have you ever thought of moving away? Because I don't know, because you're so used to.
Yeah, I massively go through phases like that. Like about 3 years ago, before I was gonna quit my company. No, then it must have been longer. when I was at my 3-year mark, so 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, okay, I've like been here for almost 4 years. I'm getting itchy. I got to get out. Usual rules. That's what happened. But then I met my now fiance, then boyfriend. And he had just moved here, and it wasn't fair for me to then uproot us again. So no, I decided to stay because of him. And then I quit my company. I quit my job and started a company. So then, of course, I stayed. But yeah, it does happen sometimes. But now, for the first time in my life, I feel very settled in Singapore, and I think I'll be here for quite a while longer. But then eventually, I'll be moving. This is not for life.
That's right. I mean, there's always ways to do it anyways.
Exactly.
Okay. The next question is, what is your most humbling experience?
Again, another tough question, but a good one. Most humbling experience. I mean, the thing that's coming up for me is when we do our festivals, like I always get really stressed and overwhelmed, and I normally burn out just because, A-type personality and I'm not figuring my shit out. But there's always a point during the festivals where at least one person comes up to me and they say, wow, like I had no idea that this was going on. And like I'm able to awaken that one person, or that they say that speaker spoke right to them, or that they are going to make a change in their life and they had an epiphany, or they felt deeply connected for the first time in months. Those little moments make everything that I do worthwhile. And it makes all the sleepless nights and the stress and the overwhelm and everything else that goes along with being an entrepreneur worth it. And so they are very humbling because it reminds me why I do what I do. And it keeps me going. But that's the thing that's coming up for me right now. I'm sure I have other humbling experiences, but that's the one that's surfaced.
I mean, people always think that, like I mentioned earlier, that one person doesn't make a difference. But if you can share your message to one person, it makes a big difference.
Exactly. It keeps me going. And that's all I need. One person at the event to be like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, I'll keep doing it for you, one people.
It's really, really, it's just very beautiful. Okay. 3 truths and lessons. If it was the last day on earth that you would leave your wisdom behind, what are the three wise words that you would leave behind?
Wow.
Last day on earth.
Killer question. Sorry. Okay, my last day on earth. What three truths and would I leave?
Yeah. Okay. What will you leave behind?
You have to give me a moment to think.
Sure. Go for it.
I think the first one is whenever you're stuck, just take an action, no matter how small. Just keep moving forward. Every little bit counts, and you can absolutely make a difference. And to not take everything so seriously and not take everything so personally. I think that's what I would share.
Okay, the last one, there's 2, right?
Was that 2?
Yeah, was
3?
there?
I feel like that was 3. Okay, the final one is there is no planet B, and all of us are playing a part. So do something today. Take a little green step.
Okay, that's a good message. Okay, 5 seconds of fun. Okay, I don't know whether what is the most craziest thing that you've done in your whole entire life?
I don't know if it's appropriate for me to share.
Okay.
I guess moving to Italy at 17, but then there's been many a skinny dip and crazy run.
Okay.
Crazy things. But that are always fun and bring the youth back in you.
Okay, so you're really an adventurous kind. Just go for it, right?
Just go for it.
Yeah, we only have one life, so just go for it, right?
So yes, I need to have more of those moments.
Okay, wait, sorry. Track back, because right now, right, because you're so occupied in your business, right, do you take a step back? Because you mentioned that you need more, like, you've had those moments, right, but because now you have your business and being an entrepreneur is not easy. We have ups and downs and stuff, but do you take yourself out from the picture for a while, once in a while, when you think that things are getting too crazy and stuff?
I try really hard. So this year has been a massive year of personal growth. I got a coach, which was an amazing thing. Katie, she's really helped me move through a lot. And so that has actually been quite fundamental to my growth this year. So I think that was a really important step, to focus on me again and not focus on the business, because I got very lost in the business for a while. So yeah, I really did do that. And now for the most part on the weekends, I don't work anymore.
Okay.
And that was a big rule that I set myself this year, so that I had time to step out, to recover, to have white space, to go on nature walks. Being with nature is a really big thing. So we very often go and be with nature. I do a lot of Kundalini yoga in the morning. So 4 to 5 times a week, I do yoga at home. But that is how I also get out of my head and into my body. So I do these little things to give myself that creative space and that breathing room. But when it's crazy festival time, I always still get a bit lost, and I have to remind myself massively. And luckily my fiance helps with that too. Even today he made me go and actually eat lunch out of the desk, which I protested about, but was good in the end. So yes, I'm lucky I have a good support system to help me with that
actually,
as well.
How important is support system? Because you mentioned that your fiance has, sometimes you got to just take a step back to just, even though you got to get your work done, but it's always very important to take so how important is support system?
It's really good because of a few things. One, they remind you you're not alone. 2, they're there to celebrate the wins and to give you a hug when the losses or the pain. But also, I think they just keep you real and they bring you back into real life. And it's like, dude, this is not so important. Or like, you can take a freaking break. Like, back away from the computer or whatever it needs to be. But they help to bring you back into grounding and life. And and as we talked already about that deeper human connection, and it just helps you to keep going. So whether it's a friend or a colleague or a boyfriend or a lover or family, I think everyone needs to have people in their camp to support when things go wrong, but also when things go right, to celebrate.
So you mentioned support system and also self-care, right? These are the two things that, at the end of the day, you've got to take care of that, because without you, nothing. And
it's just not worth it. Like I basically at the beginning of this year I got sick, but massively, like bedridden sick 3 times in 4 months. And I was like, this is not okay. Like this is not okay to get to this point of illness. And I want to be more conscious, and I want to, I'm on that journey myself, as I very publicly share. I'm not perfect. But that was a huge wake-up call where I said, okay, I now need to focus on me too. And by investing more in myself and looking after me, I can give more to the business, and I can give more to everything that we're trying to do. So yes, self-care is massively important, and it is massively overlooked.
That's true. Okay, what is your definition of legacy?
Oh, that's a good question. Again. For me, I guess it's more simpler. I think I think it's more about my future kids and the family. So for me, if my kids are brought up and they care about the planet and they care more about the impact that they're making, I think that would be, for me, I would feel that's a good legacy to leave. And my grandkids and stuff, if within our family we can basically provide a better life and make sure that the planet's not completely screwed up by the time our grandchildren's come around, then I think I'll be happy with that. And happy with them, understanding the impact and the role that they have in the world.
That's beautiful. Generations of
generations of sustainability.
Yay! Yes. It's good that you have a partner that also sees that vision as well.
I'm still working on him. He's got some work to do.
We're going to close out a bit. How can we support you? As in your website, how can we support you?
So you can go to greenisthenewblack.com, sign up for our newsletter. Every week we send out guides. We also summarize the top headlines in sustainability, so you can see the brands that are doing good. And come to our Conscious Festivals in Singapore and Hong Kong. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, we are GITNB Asia. Or you can follow me at Steph L. Dickson. Ken.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was very fun.
Really? Wasn't it like stressful the last
No, I loved it.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.